Hey, everybody. How's it going? Todd Spears here, along with my partners, Herc Magnus and Jason. And hey, Jeremiah, how's it going? Good to see you there. Cool, guys. Well, thanks for showing up on this Tuesday afternoon. This is our first Serp Tech webinar of 2019. Yay! Finally going to get back in action on Serp Tech. We've had a little bit of a pause, not really on this end, but as far as webinars and trainings and all that kind of stuff, because really nothing new was out just yet. But lo and behold, over the last several months, Jason and the team have been working on some updates. So a new version is out now. We'll show you guys where to get that here in just a little bit. But we did want to hold this webinar today and sort of go over some of the new things that are involved. Maybe show you, well, not maybe, but definitely going to show you some new builds that we've built in the last few weeks that look really good. Just to let you guys know that it still works just as well as it did a year and a half ago. So hopefully you're still taking advantage of that. I do believe indexing is a little bit different than it was a year and a half ago, but nonetheless, once they are built, once they are getting indexed, they still rank. So we shouldn't be here too long today, hopefully just about an hour. And we'll get through this pretty quickly. Let's see if I can get a sound check now from Herc. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on. Hey guys, welcome back.
Yep, coming through loud and clear. I heard Jason earlier, and then I sort of think I lost him. But Jason, are you there? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Barely. Your audio is pretty low on my end. Herc, how does he sound to you?
I popped in there at the end. Sounded pretty good. Can you say it again? Just sound check again, Jay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right, Bob says good. Hey, Bob. Well, good to see you. Welcome back. All right. Well, without further ado, I guess I will pass this over to you, Herc. So take it away.
Let's do some housekeeping first because I do have a presentation for you guys. But Jason, I think the bulk of you'll go first and then I'll go second. But as far as housekeeping, welcome back, guys. Like Todd said, it's been a while. A lot of stuff has changed in my life in the last year. I went through a lot of crazy shit. I think a lot of you guys know about it if you're V3 members already anyways. With had a baby, got kicked out of my house, had to go find a new house. A lot of that stuff got in the way, so we decided to pause Serp Tech webinar so I can get my life back in order primarily. And I've been able to do that now, and we're getting back in the saddle. One of the new things that we put out recently that does relate somewhat to Serp Tech is Supremacy.digital, which is our training portal for all products that Todd and I have. But the reason I'm mentioning it is this events link. I do want to show this to you guys. If you're ever wondering what is coming up, when the next Serp Tech webinars are happening, number one, you should still be receiving notification emails from GoToWebinar. It'll say Supremacy webinars, but the email will be from GoToWebinar. And then second, if you don't want to count on that, you can come here to our schedule events, and you'll see here's like the next Serp Tech training will be February 21st. We're going to do them every month instead of every week like last time. To be honest, guys, I got burnt out doing stuff every week, answering the same questions over and over. So we're going to scale that back to every month, have a higher quality webinar a little bit less often, and you'll be able to come here and see every webinar that we have going. Plus, to be honest, I'm still going to be doing a webinar a week. It's just going to be on different things. We have Serp Tech trainings, Project Supremacy trainings, guest webinars, all that shit. So come to Supremacy.digital events to get the schedule. If you sign up for free in the members area is another place where you can access all your replays, but we'll keep that up to date in the Supremacy members area as well. So before I get into any training, Jason, are you ready with your bit to go? And then I'll do a bit of training on some of the new features.
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to give you the screen then. Okay, I'll send that your way. There you go.
Okay, let me just see if this will work. So guys, can you see my screen?
Yep, we're good now.
Okay, cool. So before I start, just a quick apologies. I may have to just jump in and jump out of the call today. I'm actually on daddy daycare duty, so just watching the little ones. Anyway, so about a couple of weeks ago, I pushed out the new update, and with that, I also pushed out a video which kind of explains how to utilize the new aspects of the application. In addition, I showed you the results from a new build that we did in 2019, and within that, obviously, if you follow that chapter and verse, then you will get sites that will crush it. I think I saw Matt, he posted in the group that he followed it and went through straight away 70 plus position ones within Google. So what I wanted to do, just to highlight the development roadmap for SerpTech. So these are not necessarily in order, but these are some of the direction I want to take the application in. So I had a brief conversation with Ran on the Facebook group, and he was talking about the actual schema, the code that you should be using. And I thought to myself, you know what I should do is create a schema wizard, so a schema generator. And obviously with schema, there's a lot that can be encompassed, but there's there are a few that are the main ones, so like review, articles, stuff like that. So what we've been doing in the background, we've actually built out a generator or a wizard, which allows you to go through the various aspects. It's step by step, point and click, select shortcodes, and it actually builds out the schema for you. And that should be coming online very shortly. That will save people a lot of time, especially if you're not technically savvy in terms of copying and pasting, switching out shortcodes and stuff like that. Now, the next thing we're actually doing is what we call radius build. So, for example, at the moment, what you've got is a CSV or a text file of your geographical areas, or you may be using the internal database from the application itself. Now, what we want to actually do is create an application where you can create builds which are completely relevant. So, for example, I'm in Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton is in the West Midlands. So what I would do within this case is I'd create a site which is focused around Wolverhampton, but also supports the surrounding areas as well. And obviously what we can do is make the radius as big or as small as possible. So for example, say if I was doing a build for, say, a local plumber, I could target Wolverhampton and 20 miles out from Wolverhampton, which would make the site completely relevant for that person. Now, the next thing that we are going to be doing is including service areas. Now, the reason why I want to do this is because it means you'll be able to kind of get more bang for your buck. So within an area, within a vertical, you may have X amount of different kind of sub niches within that. So if it was, again, let's use the plumber example, it could be tap repair, it could be washing machine install, it could be anything, to be honest. But what we wanted to do is to make sure you can really kind of blanket with your builds. So that's actually coming into the mix very shortly as well. Now, this is a biggie for me. The next aspect is what I call the relevance aspect. Now, one of the things which will rank your sites better if there's real relevance to the site. So, for example, it's not just about sticking in a Google map. That's been done and killed, to be honest. It's about looking at, say, for example, the points of interest. So again, let's use Wolverhampton example again. If I built a site out for Wolverhampton, it could be the things to do in Wolverhampton, yeah? And this could be, whether it's maps, whether it's points of interest, museums, art galleries, stuff like that. But if you include it into your build, it just gives that overall relevance to the site. And I think that's going to give a real sort of boost to your sites as well. Now, in the video I sent out a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how I'm grabbing my authority links by using site colon, google.com, and then my keyword. Now, what we're going to do is make that really simple to do within your builds. In addition to that, be able to spin tax those. So you'll be able to get various links on the page. It's not the same link throughout the whole site. And again, we're going to make sure there's a very easy way for you guys to spin tax your anchor text, especially when you're interlinking through your pages. Again, it's about, giving that diversity to the actual site itself. In the video, I also talked about content. Now, for me, what I'm finding at the moment is YouTube content is ranking like crazy, absolutely like crazy. Now, what we've developed is something that we can actually go in, grab unique articles from YouTube, and actually make more or put more effort into how we build out our categories and posts. So again, going back to the video, what I said is make sure you've got a lot of content on that page, less random content, obviously the interlinking, the H2s, but really go to town on the categories, because those, again, as stated in the video, are ranking like crazy. So for example, in the site that I demonstrated, I was ranking for not just the posts or the little small towns, but I was ranking for the major cities. And we're talking potentially 3 to 12 million results, and we like position 3 to 5 within that. This one will definitely be a killer now. So for example, look at this now. If we've got sites that are already ranking top 10 for the search term that you're targeting, then why don't we use their content to actually build out our sites as well? So what we're going to do is we're going to add another element to the sniper, where we can actually grab the top 10 content and use that within our sites, grab their LSIs, use that within our sites. In addition to that, grab their headers. Now, this is going to be an absolute killer. I think, I think your sites are going to get a real boost from that, because if Google already likes that content that's already there, then all we need to do is replicate it on a local level. So that's just a few of the things that we're going to be tackling. The first thing I think I'm going to push out is the schema generator, just to get that out and obviously get you guys utilizing that, especially for those that are not savvy in terms of messing about with code and stuff. But I just wanted to give you a flavor of, the sort of direction that we're taking this application. Is that okay, guys?
Looks good to me. There's a lot of cool updates in there, man, for sure.
Yeah, some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Any questions on what I've just said, guys?
I'm sure as this build comes out, we're gonna have tons of questions for uses, but that training will come when it's out, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, then,
all right, man.
Back to you then.
Okay, I'm gonna grab the screen, guys. We're gonna go back to my side, and I'm gonna do a little bit of training and a little bit of going over stuff. So, can you guys see my screen again on Facebook right now? Just give me a quick yes if you can see it in the chat, please. Awesome, thanks, Bob. So, I built this site, so pestpurge.pro, because now, like I said, when my life kind of went the way it did, I stopped building. I was doing a lot of my building when I was training and stuff like that. And then, we saw in the group, we were seeing people asking questions, is Serp text still working and stuff like that. Okay, now my comment on that question is like, the easiest way to answer that question if you own the product is to build a site. I don't understand why people would just, not want to do that. You bought a product, go build a site, you'll know if it's working. There's still members in the group that are posting results. Like Matt, I know is absolutely killing it. He's been posting in the group some of his builds, some of his results. There's my poor dog. He just actually got out of surgery just about 15 minutes ago for his other leg. Sorry to divert here, but yeah, you can go through the group, guys, and the guys that are, like Jason said, the guys that are building, it's still working. See, but then like this, does SerpTech still work? Well, Darren, really, come on, buddy, go build a site. You'll find out real quick that it does still work. It works the same. The only thing that's changed, SerpTech hasn't changed, well, other than the updates that it got. It's gotten a little bit better. But the biggest thing that's changed is Google, right? And Google's never going to stop changing. That's just the nature of the beast. But as far as SerpTech working the way it does, building the way it does, it still does. The thing that's changed for me specifically, and I've only built one site. I built it for this webinar, and I was writing up a case study on this site, is just the indexing of the site took a little bit longer. But once again, even the indexations, I've been talking with other members who have been active in building, they're still seeing sites that pop immediately. They're still seeing sites that take a little while. But the thing to remember about SerpTech, guys, is that SerpTech is not, and Jason says this all the time, SerpTech is not a software that you're using to build a single site and fall in love with the site and tweak it and, you know, spend all this time on it. SerpTech's meant to be a fast way to build a lot of sites quickly, right? And that's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be thinking, how can I make one site perfect? You should be thinking, how can I build 10 sites in the next, you know, week or 2 weeks, because one of them is really going to stick and one of them is going to do really well. And if the ones that don't do well, if you don't want them, just get rid of them and move on, right? So I went to test it myself and I built Pest Purge, and I think it took, I was updating Jason, I think it took 14 days for it to finally pop. And then I'm in a pretty competitive market, so I went with not insect removal, pest control in Edmonton where I live, which is hugely competitive always. But it was kind of a stupid choice actually in one regard, because pests aren't really an issue until the summer, so it's kind of a seasonal site, which is whatever here, neither here nor there. But in the summer, this should do a lot better than it would in the winter. But as far as indexing, you can see 2,000 results. One thing I'll note is that if you go to the next page, it'll go back to 12 result, or now it's up to 15. It was 12 a little bit longer ago. And then some people think, well, that's actually not 2,000, it's 15. But remember, guys, Google isn't going to give you the exact data. There is 2,000. They do have 2,000 indexed results. So don't take Google for its word and think things are going wrong. Those sites are there. Those pages are indexed. They're just not showing here for whatever. And I believe Jason mentioned to me that they're working on trying to get more relevant. You saw it just changed actually right now. It just went from 2000 to 1930. So this is changing all the time. Just don't let these things be, you know, reasons to not let you take action. You should be taking action regardless of the things that you can't control, because SerpTech still works. So a couple of the examples that I had was, here we go, is Vole Exterminator in Leduc. We're ranking number 1. Aphid Control Stony Plain, we're ranking number 3. So it's still, they're still ranking. Now, are these big banking rankings that, you know, you're going to make millions of dollars off of? No, they're not great. But remember the other thing we always say about SerpTech is an extremely great starting point, okay? Rather than ranking for 1 or 2 keywords right out of the gate, you're ranking for a lot of keywords out of the gate. And then if you really, really care about making a site pop, that's when you start doing a little bit of off-page SEO, because SerpTech's primarily an on-page optimization tool, but because you're building out a lot of pages, you're able to quickly optimize a lot of pages, get a lot of results fast. Those are the results and the impressive results that you can take to clients to sell your sites or rent your sites or sell leads or whatever it is you do, however you choose to monetize your sites. They're still impressive enough to open up conversations with people. But if you want to take those to the next level, it's just like any other SEO. Like when I build a new page on any one of my sites, I'll only get so far through on-site optimization if it's competitive enough. If I want to get up into the top, then I got to start doing some off-page optimization, which you know, you guys can handle your own off-page, but there's social signals, backlinks, PRs, all of the items that we've ever taught about regarding off-site optimizations. That's how you can get these sites to number 1, rank higher, number 2, rank for more keywords, get more traffic, get more leads, get you a better paying client. So nothing has really changed there, except for, like I said, like the indexing. And from what I'm hearing from our active users, indexing is kind of all over the map, and does depend a little bit as well on domain extensions, meaning, you know, .pro, .com, .net. We're just seeing a bunch of stuff all over the place. But one thing we don't know for sure is we don't have stats or data to tell you with 100% certainty that a .pro ranks better than a .com, or a .com ranks better than a .net or stuff like that. That's just something that, once again, you know, if you get back, shake the rust off like I had to for that build, shake the rust off and get your system in place and get your processes in place again, you could be knocking these sites out in like 20 minutes from keyword research to executing to indexing. And 20 minutes really isn't that much time at all. Even if it took you an hour and you did 3 a week, you know, that's 12 builds a month in a total of 12 hours of work. And that's if you're really working really, really slowly. So that's really what you should be focused on, is attacking new markets, building new sites and stuff like that. So with that said, sorry, Bruce, that's sad to hear. You got to speed up. So with that said, guys, the new version of Serp Tech, you can get it. I don't believe it's pushed to the auto updater yet. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I will show you where to get the new version. So once again, log into your members area, and then I'm not sure if these are hooked up to the new version or not yet. We will confirm that and let you know. But one thing I do know for sure is if you click on the blue button, the need a previous version, it's this version right here, guys. Is version 3.4.3 that has all the new features in it that I'm going to cover right now, and that Jason's video specifically covered in detail, which if you haven't watched that video, you should watch that video, and it's in the Serp Tech group, okay, facebook.com/SerpTech, and it's a pinned announcement with Jason overviewing all the new features. And I'm going to just cover, so rather than go over them again, since you already have that training, just watch that video on your own time. Okay, it's there, it's pinned, you can watch it. But what I'm going to cover specifically, and it's interesting that Jason talked about it as well, is the schema bit. One of the new things in the bottom of your builders, so we have home page. Remember, guys, just I'll refresh quickly. Your builder is your settings, your home page, your category pages, and your posts. Okay, silo at the top, silo next level down, silo third level. Okay. But down at the bottom, you can see there's now a box where you can insert schema code. And one of the things about schema is it's better if your schema is relevant to the page that you're building. So that becomes extremely important when you're into your posts, because with categories, typically, you know, you'll have, if you're targeting, like if you're doing a statewide build where you're targeting every city, and you're only targeting 4 states, you're really going to only have 4 categories. But if you have like 20 cities in each of those 4 categories, you're going to end up with 80 posts. And one thing you kind of want to try and avoid with schema, the more we learn about schema, is you don't want to have the exact same schema on every single page of every single blog. So here, all you have to do is import a schema code, and Jason's talking about doing a builder that can help you basically generate what this is, and I'll kind of show it to you. So there's a schema code. Okay, so that's a schema code for a local business. And if you don't know how to build this shit, it's really helpful to have something like what Jason's going to build. But what my training is going to be on is for all you guys who do have Project Supremacy V3, how to pull this out of there, how to build it and how to pull it out of there, and then how to apply it to your Serp Tech build so that every page is basically saying something that's relevant to the location that you're targeting, and still even has a little bit of different information inside of the schema, so that each page isn't having the same schema, and then you can avoid things like you know, the Google penalties for schema. Now, on that note, on the spammy structured markup messages from Webmaster Tools, I see a lot of people talk about getting those messages in Webmaster Tools, and from what I've seen with my own personal sites, they still do not affect rankings. It's still just a message. It's still just Google trying to tell you, get this right. It's not the way we want it right now, so you should try to get it right. They won't tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. They just send you to some general, you know, guideline practice that you're supposed to follow, but they don't pinpoint in your site what you've done wrong. But typically it's putting the exact same schema on every single page. The schema is not relevant to the page. It looks spammy. and then you get a Webmaster Tools markup. Now, I still have sites that have the same schema on every single page, and probably I don't have Webmaster Tools up to them. But if I did, I'd probably have that that markup or that message that it's a spammy markup, but it's still working. So an example, I think it was this site, asbestaslaw.pro. So I still have 521 sites, and you can see every page has schema. It has the exact same rating, the exact same number of votes, votes. And then the other thing about this is that none of these schemas are relevant to the page. They're all literally the exact same schema code pasted over and over and over again, which is by far the worst practice that you could do with schema. And we're still ranking a lot of these terms, even though all that is happening. So I just want to demystify that message that a lot of people are getting. So there you go. We're number 3 for asbestos lawyers in Pennsylvania. It's untrue from what I've seen that spammy structured markup is going to cause any sort of a decrease in your rankings. It's, to me, just a message that you're getting in Google. So I just wanted to point that out. But being the responsible marketers that we're trying to be, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, is how to change your schema in your Serp Tech builds, especially with the new feature, so that your schema is more relevant. It is differentiated page to page, and it does look a lot better, even though you're still going to do something that's kind of, for instance, like the aggregate rating that we're going to supply. The reason we're going to supply it is because we want these stars, right? We want our shit to show up with stars, and this comes from aggregate rating schema. So this site has a local business schema with an aggregate rating on it, and that's how the stars show up, and it makes us stand out a lot more than all the other results. So I'm still going to show you a way to do that, a little bit gray hat, but more responsible than what we have been doing. I'll also show you how if you want to completely make it legit to Google, you can. So the tool that we have for that is Project Supremacy V3 schema builder, which is it's literally every schema type and every schema property of each type in there, and you just literally type in the type of schema you want. So I would type in local business would show up, or if there was like a what do you call an exterminator, I could look for that. No, there's not. Pest or something. You literally just start typing in keywords to see what's out there, but local business is a nice, good, safe one. So what you do is you basically search for the type, you load the type that you want to start building, and you fill in the forms for the properties that you want to fill. So as an example, rather than building one, I'll show you one. So for a site, a Serp Tech build I did of milehighhomes.pro, I built a local business schema. Okay, so we can load that one up. And then what I could do is, and let me explain this one more time. So local business schema is a schema type. It's a type of schema called local business. All these though, about, acquired, forum, action, option, additional property, and if I scroll through the list, you're going to see all kinds of other headings. What those are called properties. Those are properties of the type. So the type is local business. The properties are all these. Now, I've already built this schema, and when you first load up our schema, we supply every property that's available within local business. As you go through, and they're also alphabetical so that they're a little bit easier for you to search for. But as you go through and you start filling things out, and you want to slowly condense down and take a look at what you have filled, there's this little tick box right here where it can say, show my properties only, and that basically hides and all the properties that you, or the schema types or properties. It hides all the ones that you haven't filled anything out for and only shows you the stuff that you have. Okay, so it's just a helpful tool to show you what you have or to show you what's available to you. Now, once you've gone through and built out all your schemas like I have here, then you can do this. This button right here, view JSON schema code. It will actually spit out the JSON schema code, okay, which is what you're going to take once it's built properly, and you're going to move it over into your build in the schema area. But remember, you don't want to have the exact same schema on every page and every post. You also want your schema to be locally relevant, state relevant, and all that stuff. So let me show you how you can take that code from V3 or eventually Jason's builder and then apply short codes to it that Serp Tech controls and spin tax, so that your schema renders out on each page more differently. So for now, so here's a schema that I basically took the exact same schema, but there's a couple places where I updated things. So this is for this site pestpurge.pro. So you can see, once again, the schema type is local business. And then the address is a postal address. The address country is in Canada because I'm targeting Edmonton and the suburbs within Edmonton. Actually, I'm targeting Alberta and all the cities within Alberta, I think. Doesn't matter, okay, whatever your setup is. So on the category page, which is if you're building a state and targeting cities, your category page is the state, which the short code to replace the actual state is category name, and that's basic Serp Tech 101, right? So when you're on your category pages and you want to show the title of the state that you're in, or you want to show the state in the URL or in the content, you use the short code category name, right? We've covered that in training. So in your schema, it's the same thing. So you put in address locality, you're going to replace that schema. Instead of it actually saying Alberta, right? You're going to take category name and you're going to put that in your category schema. Now remember, it's important to remember there's category schema and then there's going to be post schema. And there's even homepage schema if you want to do it differently. But in your category schema, I replace the state name with category name, and that will render out to the state name. And then in the aggregate rating, to avoid this situation where it's like 4.628 votes every single page, which is obviously bullshit, what you can do is actually replace that with spin tax in your aggregate rating. So you pull out the proper aggregate rating properties, and then you do this. The best rating, and let me do it like this, actually, it'll be a little bit different. The best rating and the worst rating are going to be 5 and 1. Okay, worst rating is 1, star reviews, and the best rating is 5. But this is where you start getting things a little more interesting. Now in your rating value, you enter a spin tax format rating of whatever you want. So I could go 3.5 pipe, 3.6 pipe, right? You can take this as far as you want. 3.9 pipe, right? And if you guys aren't familiar with spin tax, basically it's a curly left, a curly right for your outside brackets, and then your data point, or each of your data points with a pipe in the middle of them. And then what it'll do is at random, it will select one of these values to render out to your rating value. So you can start high if you want. Like if you want to start at a 4.1, do 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. You could do whatever you want. That's the point, okay? So there's what you do for rating value. Now for rating count, which is, and by the way, rating value is the overall aggregate rating. It's like out of all the ratings that you've received, your average score is like a 4.2 or something. Your rating count is the number of ratings that you've received, right? So once again, we are going to use a spin tax format, and I'm saying, 12, 14, 18, 20, and you can put in as many as you want. And you should actually put in, I don't know, if you have a 100-page site, maybe put in 20 different numbers so that each of your pages is getting a different rating value with a different number. And the more you put in, the more diversity you're going to receive in your rating values and your rating counts, okay? Now this part, when I was talking about doing things responsibly, and I'm not down into the description and stuff yet, I'll make the comment I'm going to right now about this. You can supply Google with an aggregate rating and tell Google this site has 28 ratings and the average rating is 4.8, but it's a lie, right? In Serp Tech, it's a lie. The only way it's the truth is if you actually collected the reviews on your website, displayed them on your website, and more specifically, collected them on a page and displayed them on a page, and then did the actual math of the review. That is the absolute most responsible way to do schema. But being a Serp Tech build, I think it's okay to bypass that based on the fact that Asbestos Law Pro has way less responsible schema on it. It's still ranking amazingly well. But what we're doing here is we're building even more responsible schema by being diverse with our information. Now, if you want to do things 100% responsibly with Project Supremacy, you would take out the numbers. You would only supply this data for your aggregate rating when you build it. You supply best rating and worst rating, and you leave rating value and rating count out. And inside of Project Supremacy, what you would have to do to collect reviews, okay, you would actually have to go to your review section, and turn on something called natural reviews. So in the customization, there's two settings that are really important. Number one is use per page reviews, meaning only display reviews that were collected on the same post, right? If this is turned off, anywhere someone submits a review will be displayed everywhere. If this is turned on, reviews only display on the pages that they were submitted on, which is a more responsible way to do things. But as you're kind of hopefully understanding what I'm saying here, there's levels of responsibility that you can take. With a Serp Tech build, if you're going to build 80 pages, the chances of you getting reviews on all 80 pages is pretty low. So we want to bypass that, right? So you can turn this off and then turn on natural reviews. And what this function does is say only supply an aggregate rating score, right? So this value, oops, these two values, only supply my rating value and my rating count based on the reviews I've actually received and I'm actually displaying on my site. You could fake it if you want to go that far. You could still put a review collection Project Supremacy like review box on your site and a display review box on your site as either a widget or a shortcode, and then go yourself and type in a bunch of reviews and then display them on your site. Because Google doesn't really know who submitted the review. What Google knows is that the review for that URL that's in your schema code actually shows up in your page when it's visited, right? So I hope you understand the levels of responsibility that we're having here. And that's why I wanted to make this note. But the quick and easy way for you guys is just to take a code like this, supplier rating value, supplier rating count. Don't use natural reviews if you don't want to. Don't use per page reviews. Turn those off. Say, no, I'm going to bypass that. I'm going to fake it, basically. And then to fake it in a little bit more of a responsible way, you use Spintax and supply a bunch of different rating values and rating counts for Spintax. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I will come back and answer any questions that are popping up later on. So next in the schema, something like description. Okay, now in our categories, our description, you can literally take the same description that you're using in your Serp Tech builder if you want, but we're going to show you how to make that description be relevant to the category as well as be a little bit dynamic as they're being built out. So in our category, here's our meta description. We are category name pest control experts. So if I was building up in Canada in different provinces, so we are British Columbia pest control experts. We are Alberta pest control experts. And in the States, if you don't know Canadian geography, it would be more like we are Arizona pest control experts. We are California pest control experts, right? So what you do when you're in your category here, I literally took the meta description, and you don't have to do this, but it's one thing that you can do, and used it here, right? But then I threw in the short code from Serp Tech keyword. So now it would say something like in the States, we are California SOBUG experts, or we are California bat removal experts, right? It'll change on every category page based on what the keyword input is from Serp Tech. So now if you have 4 category pages, your schema is going to start looking quite different. You're going to have a different rating value. You're going to have a different rating count. You're going to have a different category, and you're going to have a different keyword, right? And then you could take it a little bit further. So actually that's it for that one. And this, guys, is you can get as creative as you want, okay? And remember that the schema supports all these things. So you can have URLs, home URLs. I wouldn't use keywords because that's a list of all your keywords, but things like keyword or static keyword, if you want the same keyword showing up throughout your title, your URL, your schema, stuff like that, okay? You can get as creative as you want, and not only with what short codes you're using, but what type of schema you're building, okay? And I gave you a really quick example based on what I built on an old build with just a simple local business schema with an aggregate rating in it. This is as simple as it gets for schema, but you could go deeper if you want. If you're a real schema pro and you want to go deeper, go ahead. The other thing too is if you're searching around and you're like, Alberta pest control, and you find another site that has schema on it for whatever reason, and you want their schema, you could always use our schema duplicator, okay? And what our schema duplicator does is you put in a URL. So if this site, for instance, these guys, if they had schema on their site, which I don't know if they do, typically there's things that happen within the SERPs that kind of tip you off that there's schema, one of them being the star ratings, right? Or the other one being the question and answer box. But if they had schema and you wanted their schema because you don't know how to write good code, or you don't know how to write or think up good structure, you could take their URL and put it in the post duplicator. Okay, and we'll just call it whatever, and we'll call it wdelete. Okay, and then save it to the miscellaneous folder for now. Run the duplicator. This will probably fail because, oh, they do have schema. So there you go. So they have website and organization. So if you wanted their schema, okay, you could click proceed. It found 2 schema types, right? And there's going to be a bunch of properties of those types. So now I can open up my miscellaneous folder. Okay, and there's website and there's organization. I can open those up and kind of see what they have. And then I would just have to replace. So once again, I'll show my properties only. Oh, look at that. They have terrible schema, the name, a potential action, and the URL. You would just literally go through this and replace it with your information. And this is their code. That's literally the schema code that they have in. You can grab their code and use it for your site. If you find another place that has schema that's more complex or more involved or more pretty than what you want, right? So there's 2 ways. You can either build it or you can steal it, borrow it. Let's use the word borrow, okay? So that's kind of the schema category idea. Now, for the posts, because there's typically in a project Supremacy, or a Serp Tech build, the posts, there's always going to be more posts than there are categories. So we can get a little bit more creative in the schema in the posts, right? So this one is an example of a post schema where now, okay, I'm going to try and put these side by side. I'll put my category on the left. I'm going to put my post schema on the right. Okay, you're going to see here on the category, I only went to address locality, but here I went into the region, okay, because this is post schema now. Because if you're in the States and you're in California, Los Angeles is a city within California, so you'd have a post page for Los Angeles. Or if you were targeting Los Angeles only, you know, you would have Irvine, I think, is a suburb of Los Angeles, or Beverly Hills is a suburb of that. So now we add the address region in our posts because we're getting more specific. And once again, you use the short code in your post of post name so that you can get more specific schema on your post. Then you do the same thing for aggregate rating, okay? So rating value, I should have actually taken that out of there. And this one actually should be, it doesn't matter, like the order. I'm just trying to be logically in line for you guys. So best rating 5, worst rating 1, which by the way, you guys can change to this. You can change it to anything you want, okay? It doesn't matter. Project Supremacy actually calculates ratings for you if people are actually submitting it. So the defaults though, and let's not get too into detail here, 5 and 1, just stick with 5 and 1. But there we go. We have rating values, you know what I mean? And like I said, get as crazy as you want with those, right? And then in our description, I pulled the same description, but I can write a new description. I can even syntax whole descriptions, right, with short codes inside of syntax descriptions. Does that make sense to everybody? What I just said? Give me a yes or a no if that doesn't make sense. And if it does or doesn't, I'll show you. If there's anyone that's confused about that. No? Okay. So the way syntax works, I'm gonna move this over now. Well, let me come back to that. So the difference here is, once again, we're adding, on a post name, we're adding address region, and then in our description, really I use the same one, but I should get a little more creative. And then URL, you can even put in short code for URL to the home page, or you can put in a short code for URL to your category page, whatever you want to do. Okay, but your description. So let's look at this function of schema right here. Okay, and let's open up a new window. So let's say that's the default one that you have. Okay, but let's write a new one. And before I do this, let's talk about syntax. Okay, syntax works like this. You have your left curly bracket and you have your right curly bracket, right? That's saying the stuff contained within this open bracket and this closed bracket is the things I'd like to contain. Then you're going to have data values. Okay, so it could be anything: cities, names, keywords, numbers, sentences, whatever. But they're called data values. So you're going to have data 1, and then you're going to use a pipe. Then you're going to have data 2, and you're going to use a pipe. And you're going to have data 3, right? And you're going to use a pipe, data 4. You get the idea, right? So what happens when you use this in your schema or in your content or whatever, when it gets to this point in the article, so you would have basically, so let's say you had an article that said, you know, my favorite place in it, and then you're going to have this is or my, I don't know, this sentence, I'm trying to make it make sense. My favorite animal therein is, and then you could have another set of datas, right? So this could be like my favorite animal in Edmonton, Phoenix, and I'm only going to do one more, Dallas, okay, is a duck. In this data too, a moose, right? And I'm sorry for people who know what spin tax is. I'm just trying to be detailed. A cow, right? Now, if this was your sentence in your content, this could render out in 9 different ways. My favorite animal in Edmonton is a duck. My favorite animal in Edmonton is a moose. My favorite animal in Edmonton is a cow. Or my favorite animal in Phoenix is a duck, a moose, or a cow. Or my favorite animal in Dallas is a duck, a moose, or a cow. You have 9 possible spin options from this. So if you use this sentence, when it renders out on your build, it will randomly select one from here, one from here. So now when you apply that to a description like this, your whole description can be a pipe value, right? And that would look like this. I'm gonna have to get a lot longer here to really lay it out. And I'm getting really overly creative with you guys. I shouldn't even take you this far, because those who know schema just know it. So we are category name experts in post name. Call us now for a free consult would be description 1. Description 2 is your best category name and blah, blah, blah in post name, free quotes. I'm just only going to do 2 because you get the idea. Every time you set up a new pipe, it adds a new option. Okay, and then curly close. So now if you use this as a schema description, right? Your whole description and sentence structure is either going to be this with your relevant category and keyword name, or it's going to be this with your relevant category and keyword name. No, no, Bruce, this won't take hours. This will take minutes. The point that the reason spin tax is good is because it allows you to create extremely diversified descriptions, any set you want, in literally all you have to do is set it up once and put it in the builder. Okay, so if I have 80 posts, I'm gonna have anywhere from, and I did this like 5 times, I could have like 400 different options because I set this one sentence up with spin tax and put it into my schema description. So I'm trying to illustrate to you guys the absolute, as creative as you are, is how far you can take this. As long as you understand what spin tax is, and as long as you understand that the short codes are generated from Serp text, so that as long as your short codes are in your schema, right here, that everything will be pretty awesome, pretty unique, pretty relevant to the page, and very, very diversified. Okay, does everybody, give me one if you guys got all that for now? Because that was like the basis of my training. I wanted to talk about the schema code, because I know a lot of people really wanted to
Hey, Hurt, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello, hello.
I can
Testing.
hear you, Todd.
I'm on. Hurt must have lost his microphone. Oh no. Yeah, he'd probably get that fixed here pretty quick, so we'll just chit chat here until he gets back. So, does anyone have any questions on that? I mean, just watching that. I've been around Spintax for quite some time, but Herc is explaining all of that very clearly and very beautiful, in my opinion. Is everybody understanding, what he's doing there and how, easy it is, I guess is a good word for it, to, write a sentence and put in some synonyms there. I remember a couple of years ago, there were some places online where they would auto spin for you and spit out the results. I'll have to go and do some research and maybe try to find you guys some good Spintax generators. You basically write a sentence and click go, and it will do exactly what Herc was showing you there, but automatically. And what that used to do for me was give me a lot more synonyms than I could generally think of by myself. So it's really a good idea. Some of them, though, you got to read it, though, and kind of put all the words in place, because sometimes those things, obviously, they're not perfect. But it really will give you a lot of good ideas and some more synonyms to put inside that structure, so you'll get more variety, more and more. Obviously, the more variables you have, the more words in each, word pipe, and those parentheses, the better, the more variations you're going to have, and it'll go a lot further. But it doesn't really take that much. 4 or 5 in each place there. So really cool work you did there, Jason. Getting schema code in there and being able to just paste it in there, and it really will help your sites rank, as we've known for a few years now. Project Supremacy V2 was really based around the coming out party for adding schema easily via a WordPress plugin, as most of you already know that. But and we saw, back in the day, results were just incredible because no one was really using schema that much. Then, of course, after V2 and everybody else started doing it, it's gotten a little bit, I guess, less significant. But at any rate, it's certainly, I almost want to say that it's required for any site that you want to rank now. So I'm real excited to see us being able to add schema code into this area, as well as Jason working on a way to automatically generate some schema code, local business schema, and then take the category names, category posts, things like that, and insert them into the code for you. Does anybody else have any more questions? I think if we can't get Herc back on the line here, we'll probably go ahead and wrap this up. We've been on here just about an hour. Just kind of wanted to keep this to an hour anyway. I know that Herc's agenda was basically to go over what he did. I think he was just about through anyway. I just received a message from him saying that his internet went down. He lost his connection at his home. He's on mobile now, but obviously he can't really do any more presenting on his mobile phone. So I guess with that being said, we will wrap this up. Thanks for coming by, guys. Like I said in the beginning, this is the first of Serp Tech in 2019, and there will certainly be more to come. We're going to get hot and heavy back on Serp Tech this year, so expect some more Q&A webinars and all of that fun stuff, just like we used to do last year. So that's really all I have. Jason, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it, pretty much.
All
Just
right,
keep
sounds
building.
good. Thank you so much, Jason, for all your hard work, and give your development team a big hug for us, a big thank you.
No problem.
Plugin ought to update automatically. No, it won't, Raphael. You're going to have to go to the SerpTech members area. Herc went over that in the very beginning of this training. Log into your SerpTech members area, and you can click on over on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a blue button that says Get All Past Versions. For sure, the very top download link will be the latest version, and that's the one that we were going over here today.
I'm back.
Herc, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just kind of wrapped up the end of that. I think you were just at the very end of what you were going over there, so I kind of just was about to hang up the call, but go ahead and give us any final thoughts you may have.
I was just going through the questions, and where did I get cut off? Was anybody paying attention?
Yeah.
It was Bruce. I was answering Bruce with the affiliate schema. Did you guys hear that bit?
I don't believe so. Well, no, I remember you were answering Bruce, I think, when you went down.
Yeah, so he was basically asking about affiliate schema, and I'll just fucking give you the short version of what I said. It really depends on your structure of your build, because remember in SerpTech, your categories are pages, your posts are posts, your short codes are related to whether it's a category page or post name post. So an affiliate build, if you're doing something like product reviews and you have a different product review for each page, it's dependent on your silo structure. You might want to use something like product review schema. You might want to go to another site that's an affiliate review site and look for the schema that they have, analyze it, see which data can be changed out, and you have to put all those pieces together. So you really have to understand the build process and function to know how to insert short codes, spin tags, and whatnot into properly formatted schema from a properly formatted build. Does that make sense? Okay. Raf, will the plugin update automatically? The plugin never updates automatically. Usually an update shows up. I think our updater, we're looking at it. It's not there right now, so I think Todd might have talked about that, but it's in your members area in SerpTech. Where the heck was I? Yeah, right here. Need a previous version of SerpTech. So go into your members area, go to here. This is a quick way to get it and download it. So because all your past builds, you're not going to want to update the plugin, or maybe you will, I don't know. But you can download the version from here. Any past builds, just deactivate and delete the current version, upload this version. I think you should be okay. If you want to be safe, wait for the update to come out. Otherwise, new builds, just download this version. Thanks, Bob. Keeping me in line. Yeah, so any other questions, guys? We're going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter. We'll slowly get back into the swing of things, and my internet apparently is a little sketchy. So any last questions? Well, that's why my mute button disappeared. I went off the internet. All right, guys, looks like we're all good. I mentioned this on another webinar. I'm only going to push you guys to ask questions so many times now. I'm not going to keep harping on it. So if I say that and no questions come in, we're going to just end the webinars. So I guess that's going to be it for me, guys. Thanks for coming.
All right, all good for me too. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you on another webinar soon. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.